Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I don't know about you, but where we are at, we have this beautiful thick snowflakes that are falling down and such a fun day to be able to enjoy. I actually wanted to pull my kids out and just call it a hooky day and enjoy the mental health days. I'm like, it's way too pretty to be stuck inside. But if I'm going to be stuck inside, at least I have this beautiful lady in front of me to be able to enjoy a conversation with. Shaniqua Horsted. I'm so glad that you are here and joining us today to be able to just share a little bit more about your story, about your business, about how you empower others. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to stand up and show up in social media and just making sure that you're following with your beliefs and your values and things like that. And so excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share. I'm kind of jealous that you get snow. In North Carolina and Charlotte, we rarely get snow.
Well, you can come to Illinois anytime in the winter. I mean, it's hit or miss, but I'll let you know the next time we have snow and I'll invite you along.
I'd be
Well,
happy to come out.
we'll build a snowman together.
Yeah. Your little carrot nose and everything.
That's right. That's right. So Shaniqua, tell us just a little bit about you. I know you're in North Carolina, but tell us a little bit more about your story, however you want to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Shaniqua Horsted, and every day I have the pleasure and the honor of serving other women who believe and other women who want to walk in their purpose. I found brand strategy along my journey, but I've always been very passionate about empowering and elevating other women, especially through faith, right? Growing up, we didn't like necessarily always go to church, and my relationship with Christ really started over the last 5 or 6 years or so. And so I get to intertwine what I love to do as far as business with personal relationships, and I've met a lot of really great people along the way. Boring things out of the way, I am married. We've been married 6 years. This Friday is our anniversary. So
That is not boring.
so happy about
Congratulations.
that. We have 2 kids. They are 15 months apart. So any moms out there, if you know, okay. They're 15 months apart, and we absolutely adore them. So I mean that's pretty much it about me. Nothing super extraordinary, right?
I would agree to disagree on that one, but okay, if that's how you feel. I thought we were talking about how we empower and show up powerfully. Come on, girl, you are nothing. You're not an ordinary. You are far from it.
That's true. That's true. But this weekend, like was telling you earlier, I went to a conference, and one of the things that I really wanted people to take away is that although I was the one holding the mic, there was nothing that was extremely different about me versus them. Like if I can do it, so can you, and so can anyone else, right? So I try to break that barrier a little bit by kind of saying that, so people don't feel like it's untouchable or it's unreachable.
Right. No, and I totally get that. And the thing is everybody, regardless of where they're at, regardless of who you're looking at, that's like steps ahead of you or feeling like, oh my goodness, that could never be me. They were where you were today. And honestly, we're further ahead than where they were at one point. Right. So I love that you're saying that. I mean, it really brings that correlation and relationship to like it is possible for any single person to achieve whatever goals they have in front of them. And I think until you are confident in just taking bold, messy action, which I'm good. I'm embracing that bold, messy action these days. Years ago, no way. I didn't believe I was worthy. I would look at you, hear that story, right? And I'd be like, yeah, well, good for her. I
Yeah.
can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I can't do that. Right. And now I'm like, no, let's just be messy. Let's
Yeah.
show up. And it's so fun to see what is showing up and what I attract because I'm just embracing bold and messy and being vulnerable. So I
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely, 100%. I think some action is better than no action is what I like to say, right? Doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So I love you're just now the girl next door and anything's possible. So tell us a little bit about the branding business, and then we'll get into the conversation as far as how showing up on social media.
Absolutely. So initially, when I started my business, funny thing is, I started out as a product-based business. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a company called Paparazzi. But I was a part of paparazzi, and I used that as my platform to build confidence in other women. So they would come to my table, they would look at jewelry, and they were like, "Oh, I can't really wear yellow," or "Oh, I can't really wear this bold piece," or whatever. And I put it on them, and they'd get it. And then next thing you know, they call me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my husband gave me a compliment," or "I got so many compliments wearing the earrings you picked out for me." And so that kind of lit a fire in me and reminded me of exactly what you're saying, right? People lack confidence, especially us as women. And it's mind blowing because we give life. Okay. We give
Mhm.
life. Okay. Like, how can you not be confident when you carry a child in your body for 10 months? Right.
Seriously, there is so much about that that I'm like, I mean, to me, I'm like, if you don't believe in Jesus, I don't know how, because how is that possible to be able to create, grow another human being and
How is
push
it
it out so beautifully and maybe have most of your body still intact afterwards?
right? Exactly. So I was doing that and I would have these conversations. Honestly, I rarely sold jewelry. I rarely sold jewelry because I was always having conversations. I was always talking with people and asking them, well, why do you think you can't wear this piece of jewelry? Why do you think you can't wear this color? Where did that come from? And we would just have these sort of in-depth conversations about where that lack of confidence came from, where those limiting beliefs came from, right? And I started doing research and I was like, there has to be a name for this. There has to be a way that I can do this every day, right? And then I came across coaching, right? I came across coaching, and my first certification is actually in life coaching. And when I started to brand my life coaching business, I wanted to do it properly, right? So I started doing research on how to brand your business, right? And so I started taking all these classes about how to brand my own business. And when I launched my life coaching business, people would always ask me about my branding.
Oh man, isn't that something? Follow your passion and look at how things kind of connect and intertwine.
Absolutely. So I started helping other women with their brand, and I always approach branding from the inside out. So anybody can really build a brand. I think everyone has a brand, but when you're building a brand that is purpose driven, it's a little bit different. It requires a little bit more intentionality. And I think that's where I really have found my niche and my zone of genius in building purposeful brands online. All of the people I work with, their brand is their purpose. What they're doing is their purpose. Probably like
Sure.
many of the people in your community, right? They're not
Yeah.
just pointing a lens and just taking pictures just because. They're probably really passionate about it, right?
Yep.
So that's how I found brand
Mhm.
strategy.
That's awesome. Well, and I love what you were saying, like about, conversations, like you weren't really even selling jewelry. You were so busy in conversations. And that's something that we talk about in my coaching and the group here that we get involved with all the time is just being conversations. Like people have a hard time, you know, selling. Like we don't, that's, I don't want to push someone into buying something and feeling like that sleazy car salesman. I'm like, you just get in conversations
Right.
when you genuinely are curious, authentic, just want to learn about people, that you're creating the environment for people to want to be around you. And that will turn into conversations that'll turn into clients, right? And then my clients turn into friends. Now I'm like, oh, we're doing bus party trips to go curling up north in Chicago in a couple of weeks. I'm like, let's go. But when you have that intentionality with it and you're doing you're chasing your passion. And so you're right, just like what you've done and how you found your passion, so many of the photographers are doing the same thing. They stumble into it. It's accidental. What I love though is that you're saying, like, when it's really like that focus and the passion, that how there's so much more importance with the brand strategy. And I think that's something that early on, and even honestly for me for years, I'm like, I don't know, I take pictures. Like I just thought that's all I do. And the more I do it, the more I uncover why I do it, what I love. I'm like, oh, there's so much more behind it. And for you to have the ability to be able to take that why and the passion deep inside of people, like for me, it is, I want to empower those in front of the camera to feel beautiful, worthy, and loved.
Yeah.
And it is a personal mission statement because of the way my marriage was. It left me feeling incapable, not smart, not valuable, right? So through that, as now that, I'm a single mama and embracing that and celebrating it, and I know how it felt to feel those things, right? So anyone that steps in front of my camera, I want them to level up and have a photo that feels like, man, I am beautiful. right?
Yeah.
And so I love that you have that. You can hear that from someone and then be able to translate it into something visible, because that is a skill and a talent and a gift. And so we're glad there's people like you out there to help. I think I need to connect with you. I'm ready to level up
Yeah,
again.
let's do it. Let's do it. You and I love how like God will use our personal stories and our personal
Mm,
situations to spark us being a solution for other people, right?
yeah.
And even in the story that you shared just now, it was a time where it was maybe dark for you. It was difficult for you. It was frustrating, probably even during that time. You didn't maybe feel good about yourself during that time
Oh,
for whatever reasons, right? And now you have an opportunity where you can utilize that experience and that story and you can turn it around for someone else, right? So people
yeah.
always say your testimony is not for you, it's for other people. But I think you're living out that statement, right? What you went through that, but now it's an opportunity for you to pour into other people and make other people feel good. So I love that your personal story is a part of your brand, and everyone has a personal story.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mine. I mean, my business didn't start until after he had an affair, and then we started the divorce process. And
Okay.
it was deep depression for 18 months. I just didn't understand, like, I wasn't good enough, right? I couldn't have done anything. It just felt like I couldn't do anything to have made this work, right? And so to be from that stage and then start a photography business, shooting an auto, charging people $50, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I had people around me that said I had a gift and they pushed me in it. And I'm so thankful they pushed. And
Yeah.
I, you know, obeyed and I listened to them and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. Now I love it. I love what I get to do. And it's not just the photos, it's everything else, how I can help make them feel and stuff. And so you're right. I'm another girl next door. I'm like, yeah, if I can be doing this, yeah, anybody can. So totally. And I think it is. And I think when we can share our story and in a way where it comes from the healing, right? Not talking about the scar. Cause when we deal with the scars, that can kind of feel a little more ugly and raw. But I'm like, when you're talking about it from like just the healing of, these were just facts. This is how I felt at this time. Here's what's happened. And here's the steps. It can be really empowering to other people. Like you say, to be like, gosh, okay. So other people have felt this way. Yep. And we figured out how to put it on our big girl pants on most days, right? There are some days
Yeah.
I still crawl in bed, right? So let's be real. It's not every day that we're on
Right.
100%, but to know that we can show up like that, it really does. And you're going to draw people in. And that's what I hope that everybody that's listening to can hear, is that the more we become clear on who we are, what we stand for. So this will be a good segue into what we're doing, right? What we're standing for, how we want to empower the people, whether it's photography or anything else, right? In any business, or just being a human in life and showing up, living day to day, how we're going to do that. The more we can share and the more we can be vulnerable in that, there is so much beauty that comes from it. And we're going to attract the people. I mean, there is so much abundance in anything, right? And the people that we are meant to serve, they're going to flock to us. And the more we share our story, the more we show up boldly, sharing whatever, whether it's a messy story or whether it's just, your activities you like to do, right? For me, traveling, oh, big thing. I'm like, I want photographers that love to travel. We're planning trips. We're going to Morocco in September. Like, there's all these cool things happening. I'm like, so if I didn't share my love for traveling, how would I attract any other photographers that enjoy traveling, right? So from big things to little things to deep things to, kind of surface level type things, just show up and be you. And I have found that when I show up and be me, I like the ride even more. It is more fun. And I bring more people that are ready to have fun. So it's a win all the way around.
All the way around. Yes, that's the biggest thing. Like, I think when people think about social media and they think about a brand, they think about this persona that they have to put on and take off. But the truth is, like, you're the brand. And if you have to take it off and put it on, it's not going to be enjoyable. And people tell me all the time, I struggle with being consistent. I struggle with posting consistently. Well, it's likely that you struggle with posting consistently because you're trying to box yourself in. You're trying to fit into what you think everyone else might like. You're trying to fit into what you think is quote unquote appropriate, right? Instead of showing up in a way that is genuine, right? Now, your brand does have a personality, but that personality is closely aligned to your personality as an individual, right? And so I think you hit the nail on the head right there. You know, you want to be able to show up in a way that you enjoy, right? You have to show up in a way that you enjoy, because not only can people tell when you're faking it, right? Can't you tell when someone's
Yeah.
faking it?
Yeah.
But it
Absolutely.
doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all.
No, no. And one thing that I have found is that, I mean, as I'm doing, starting this podcast, I'm like, okay, I love this because I love meeting new people. And so now all of a sudden I'm like, yes, this doesn't even feel like work. Let's just share what we know and talk to people and bring new people into our world and all that. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is another fun element I get to bring on. And so I think when people are talking about social media, it's like, oh yeah, but I don't like Instagram. I don't like reels. And don't do reels. Like I haven't done a single reel. Never made one. I have, I think 2 or 3 on there that one of like a senior made for me. I'm like, cool, that's great. And I put it on. I'm like, hey, check out this. It was made by Rachel. But I'm like, you don't have to. And I think that really is true. When you show up in the places that you like, how you like, and it's just all going to be more enjoyable, and it's a win all the way around. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great segue. So let's talk about this. So what we want to talk about, what you're going to share with all of our listeners is how to show up on social media and stand up without compromising your belief system. So super excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I tried to make this like as simple as possible, because I think when things are simple, we are more likely to execute them, right? So one of the things that I really wanted to kind of, talk about is showing up on social media and standing out, but without compromising our belief system as believers. The world can be really loud, and I think there is this sort of expectation for us to show up a certain way, but obviously, because we have a faith that we believe in and we have a certain way that decorum, a way that we carry ourselves, right? Every trend may not be for us, right? Every sound may not be for us. Everything that's happening on social media may not be for us, right? So I wrote out these kind of 4 things that we can do to make sure that we're staying true to our belief system, but that we're learning to leverage social media for our businesses and for our purpose, right? Social media is the fastest way to reach as many people as possible with your purpose, right? So it's a great tool. And so the first thing that I want to share with you guys is to clearly define who you desire to be and what you aim to achieve through your photography, right? So when you're showing up on social media and you're sharing photos, or you're sharing behind the scenes, or you're sharing video, what is it that you aim to accomplish for the person on the other side of the camera? You can do that through your music, through your visuals, through your angles, everything, right? Just like you said, every day you get to empower other people, make other people feel good. And that's what you aim for when you're shooting your camera. Now just bring some of that into the online space, right? Second thing, you always want to stay rooted in your values, your character, and your beliefs, right? Regardless of what other people might be saying or doing, you always have to stay true to what your values are as an individual. This is going to help you guys in deciding and discerning what collaborations and relationships are good for you or not. There might be a brand that approaches you that might want to work with you, but if their values and their vision doesn't align with your business, you have to be able to articulate that and assess, okay, maybe this isn't the right partnership, right? Darkness will always try to align itself with light, right? And all of you are light givers, and people are going to try to align themselves with you, even though they may not necessarily believe like you believe or feel how you feel. So you have to know, sorry, phone, you have to know what your values are, okay?
And even as you say that, sorry to interrupt, as you say that, one thing that comes to mind, and it's not even in the online space, but even like I read a lot of books, lots of education, lots of business, lots of personal mindset, things like that. And most of the books I find, I'm like, yes, I am right on. I'm in it. There was one book very popular, and I'm like, okay, there's bits and pieces that I can take away and bring in, but I think the more we absorb and the more when we stay true to who we are, the more stuff that comes in and the more we absorb, the easier it is to then see like, oh, this one doesn't feel right for me. This one felt a little off. Okay, cool. I've heard it. Now we're just going to send it away, and we're going to take, hold only the pieces that really work for us. And so from a faith-based to just, our integrity in general, I think social media, reading anything. I mean, that's social media, boy. We get to be careful what all we are absorbing and how we are. Cause I know there are times I'm like, ooh, this is a whole lot of negative. We're going to go ahead and just shut that off, power down, and go for a walk with my dogs and enjoy life again. Cause it is. But yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because being, it's all about who you're around. Right.
Mhm.
And I like my boys are teens. I'm like, guilty by association, kids, and even as adults, right? That can happen. It's like, I know where you stand and I know where your beliefs are. And I know, the kind human that you are. I'm hearing things that don't align with what I would agree with based on this person that's coming into your life. Great. And I tell them, like,
Mhm.
this is an opportunity. And I've told them, like, even in my life, there have been times where I'm like, this relationship didn't feel like maybe it was going to be the best fit, but
Yeah.
I gave it an opportunity to see if I was meant to be there to
Mhm.
serve and bring more light in. And if not, then it was like, okay, it's time to separate, because regardless of who you are, the more people, if you're hanging out, whether it's on social media with collaborations, whether it's with people in general, right? You're
Mhm.
being connected. And I've seen this in some spaces with some of these big conferences. And, one person that, had, that I thought, oh yeah, really, really cool. I like this. And then I saw some of the other connections, and immediately I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
don't know about that. Right. And so
Mhm.
it's really powerful with who you align with, as far as making sure, is this really what you want to be diving into even further? So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, 100%. Intuition is a very good
Mm,
tool, okay?
And I can tell you, the couple times that I pushed past that, I'll tell you, it confirmed, stick with your gut, stick to intuition.
Intuition is a very, very good tool to use, right? So,
Yes.
absolutely. The other thing that, and this is perfect because you literally just said my next thing I was going to say, right? So, look at that.
I
Um,
love this.
the other thing I was going to say, the third thing is eliminate distractions, right? Instagram and TikTok and Pinterest and YouTube, they're all a business. Their business is to keep you sucked in and
Mm,
tied to their platform. So they automatically give you notifications. They automatically tell you, oh, this person posted or that person posted. They give you suggestions and recommendations, right? They give you those things so they can draw you back into the app, but you have power still, right? We talked about exercising our power and things of that nature. So exercise your power to turn off those notifications that you don't need and delete those people that cause you to have negative thoughts or comments towards yourself, right? So eliminate distractions. Like
yeah, absolutely.
and then the last thing, right? Last but not least is know where you're going, right? Know where you're going. What is your intention behind showing up online? Because you don't have to show up online to have a successful business. There are lots of businesses that are not, that have a very minimal online presence, but they're really successful, right? So you have to go into social media knowing where you're going and what your aim is, what your end goal is, and what you aim to accomplish and achieve. That's going to help you stay focused and eliminate, any outside noise. I was talking with my mom the other day, and we're working on something together. She's helping me do something, and I was telling her my vision. I was sharing with her what my vision was, and she was like, well, why can't you do it like this? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it that way, right? Because I have to hold fast to what the vision is that was given to me. Otherwise, now I'm not operating in obedience, right? So you have to learn to really focus in on what the vision is that you're working towards, and really know exactly where you're striving to go. Now, you don't have to know the final destination, but you can understand, okay, this week I'm going left, next week I'm going right. And you can get those next couple steps really, mapped out and planned out so you can know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually just watching The Secret last night.
Mhm.
And they were talking about the road, right? So like, if we're going from the East Coast to the West Coast, we don't have to see that whole road. We just get to see that next 200 feet with our lights, right? So that's all it is. And so I love that you say that, like, you don't need to know where the end destination is. Cause I think that's where some people, myself included at one point, would get really hung up of,
Mhm.
but I don't even know what I'm doing, where I'm going. So that's where that getting down into your gut and what your roots are, what your values are, how you want to show up for the world. Because there have been opportunities here in the last year that I'm like, ooh, that would be good. And I'm like, bring it back. Because there's, I'm like that squirrel. Oh, shiny things. Let's go. There's something more
Shiny
fun to
object
do. I know. Let's just keep going with all these things. And I'm like, no, that is there have been times I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. And where I'm heading is even greater for the impact. Or this is a great idea and it's not yet. It's not the right time. And that has really, when I started being able to see it like that, even start having relationships or for like friendships and like, hey, let's go grab coffee. Let's go do this. Let's get together. I'm like, absolutely. And I look at the calendar and I'm honoring my time and myself and where I want to go of cool. This week is slam. This is not going to work. And we'll schedule further out. I'm like, hey, you know what? Next couple weeks, there's a lot of things that are happening. I'd love to be able to make sure that I give you all my attention. What about in 3 weeks from now that we go have lunch? Right.
Yeah.
Shifting that was hard for me because it felt like, this is my internal stuff working on, right? I'm like, because I'm the people pleaser. I want to make sure that, that I'm doing for everyone. And then it's like, that is great to a point. And then you need to still make sure that you have those boundaries and stuff. And so even by saying that, the first few times I'm like, okay, this is awkward. They're going to think like, I'm just this too good for them type thing if I'm pushing them off that far. Right. And then I'm like, no, this feels so great because I can be in a space where I'm much more relaxed when I have the time with them, as opposed to, okay, let's just hurry. Yep. Yeah. Oh, so great. So good to see you. Right. So
Mhm.
all of these things are really powerful in showing up authentically, showing up, in the time that serves you and keeping those blinders on, like you're talking about. What is it? What is your path? One of my coaches years ago, when I was like, I don't know. I mean, I do photography. So why would I do coaching? I mean, they're two different things, and I just wasn't even seeing the connect. And she's like, okay. She said, we've talked enough. And I see, she's like, empowerment is that's your thing. She's like, so think of it like a pyramid. And I loved this because then I'm like, okay, it was kind of like that being like, I have the direction, but I don't have the end game plan because I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I can empower on this side of the pyramid with photography. I can empower women and their entire families on this side of it in coaching. I can empower people, and so I'm like,
Yes.
it was like a light bulb moment of, oh my goodness, the dots are connecting. And it really helped me feel like really freedom of feeling like I was maybe doing the quote unquote wrong thing by going somewhere else. No, because it's still my mission. It's still my path. Right. And so it can look different ways. And who knows where the end of the road is going to lead. Right. I'm planning on a whole lot of more years left before that hits.
Right, exactly. I love that you talked about that. That's so, so true because I think we have this sort of focus or this version of what executing purpose looks like. But as you start to take that, like you said earlier, messy action, the execution of your purpose might start to change. It might start to evolve. It's going to start to expand and grow. So I absolutely love that you had that revelation.
Yeah, it made a world of difference, yeah, as far as like just knowing how to show up and what to say yes to, what to say no to, and what to say not yet to. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important because we, like you said, try to be all the things and do all the things. And it's funny because I posted a reel, I think either yesterday or today, and I was like going to get my hair done or something, but I left my house like an hour early. And my husband's like, why are you leaving so early? I'm like, well, I want to have time to get my breakfast. And I ended up having so much time before my appointment. Like I was just sitting in my car, eating some oatmeal and just thinking about the day and thinking about, what I was going to be doing next and just preparing my mind and preparing my heart to interact with other people. And I think we don't realize the impact that has because when you don't take care of yourself or when you're rushing or you're constantly in the hustle and bustle of life, it shifts how you treat other people.
Mm.
And we have to become really more intentional about, caring for ourselves as individuals. And I love that, you're prioritizing kind of like this, let me slow down a little bit, maybe not today, maybe 3 weeks out. 3 weeks out is better than never. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, and I have found in my life that when I have that open space, everything is better, right? You, like you're saying, you're showing up with more kindness, with more patience, with more just empathy for anyone that you encounter, and less just, oh my goodness. I find that when I'm out in the world, when I have that open space, I tend not to have my phone
Mhm.
right out, because if I'm like, okay, well, I need to hurry up, send this email, I need to do this. Okay, yep, ready to check out. All right, this versus being put down and engaging, and even just a few seconds of eye contact and a smile, right,
Mhm.
will change people's day. And so when I have that open space, it not only helps me feel better, I know the impact that I have just when we engage with other people is better and stronger. And my business jumps when I least expect it because I'm like, we get in this hustle culture, right? Of, oh my goodness, we got to be doing all the things all the day, never stop, and drop everything. Family can eat later. Well, all these things. It's like, no, because that is not aligned with my values, right?
Mhm.
Going back to how we show up. If I'm not making a priority of making meals for my boys, and even if it's sitting down for 5 minutes as these teenagers are all running from one place to another, right? Or just engaging, making them, I made them breakfast this morning. I'm like, those little things, right? It seems so little. When I don't do those things, it feels like I'm missing my priority and my focus. I
Mhm.
always say my focus is God, is family, and then everything else, right? And
Mhm.
there are times and seasons where that is way out of line and way out of whack. And
Mhm.
I feel it in all aspects. And so when we can show up and just be like, no, let's have this quiet space, gives time to be able to hear and listen and kind of lean into, what is God saying? What does he want? What is the mission that he has for us? Right.
Mhm.
And when we can have that quiet time, then it gives me a little more confidence of, okay, I'm just going to go, right? We're messy action. Let's go and do it. And having the quiet space, it allows us to get out of the day to day of the, oh my goodness, I need to get this contract done. I need to send this template and finish these images, right? We're in that mode where when we can step back and have that space, it's like, yeah, like you're saying, what's the big picture? What
Yeah.
direction am I heading? And
Mhm.
when we can get realigned with where we really want to head and get out of the noise of the day to day, even if it's for 30 minutes a day, right? All of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, my best ideas come, the best, something to simplify something or streamline or automate, and I'm like, wow, like the best months I've ever had in my business. I remember telling my coaches, I'm like, that was easy. And
Yeah.
she's like, does it have to be hard? I'm like, huh. Well, I guess not, but there's something subliminally under me, in there that I just felt like, no, work hard,
Mhm.
sacrifice everything. And when I let go of that and just, took messy action and accepted things as they rolled, I'm like, all of a sudden stuff's rolling in a whole lot easier. Wow, there's
Mhm.
so much more. I have more people to be able to serve than I even thought that would be on the calendar. Right. So yeah, having that open space, and even for people if they're listening that don't have the faith, right? It's have the open space. You are going to find that there is so much value in that, whether you use it for journaling and reading the Bible or
Mhm.
just the quiet, sitting in quiet can do a world of good in all aspects of your life.
100%, 1000%. The word does say be still. It does say be
Mm.
still. So I think that's a perfect indicator to be still and being in silence and stillness and calmness. I always say that calmness is power, and if it's chaotic and if it's a mess and if it's confusing, if it causes grief, if it causes frustration, things of that nature, then sometimes that's an indicator that maybe our visions just don't align. Maybe it's just not the right time to be doing this. Like you said, maybe this isn't the right time for this particular opportunity if it's chaotic. Earlier, I was on Instagram Live and I was sharing, like, when I was working at my corporate job, it was always chaotic. It was always an email, a chat, a problem, a fire to put out. And it caused me so much stress and so much anxiety. And I was having these really intense headaches, like debilitating. Like I couldn't walk. I felt like I was going to throw up. Like these headaches were horrific. And I was telling my husband today, I don't think I've had a headache since I left that job. I don't think I've had a headache like that since I started working on my business full time over almost a year ago, right? And he was like,
Wow.
"You haven't." And I was like, "Wow, I did not even realize how something like chaos could be so debilitating."
Wow. That is powerful. That is powerful. And I hope anyone that's listening to this, that's feeling like their life is chaotic, that they can look at that as an encouragement of, okay, if I'm feeling, all these ways and it's debilitating, there is power and you have the control to make the changes. And something as quote unquote simple as leaving your job, right? And creating a new environment for you did something really powerful.
Mhm. Yes.
That is awesome. Well, you have been doing so many amazing things in your business and not only empowering other people, but now creating, a conference to empower even more. Tell me
Yes.
more about this. I love this.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have to start from the beginning. I always have to
Yes,
tell the whole story.
I love it. I love it. I love stories. So go ahead.
I always have to tell the whole story because it's gonna make more sense once we get to the end. So 20 the end of second half ish of 2022, my business was pretty much coasting, right? I felt like I was kind of in this sort of idle place. I felt like my business was good, but I felt like I had gotten far away from God's intended purpose for my business. Because remember, at first it was empowering women and helping them be elevated and building their confidence and things like that. And I do still incorporate that in my brand strategy coaching, but it's more so about the brand than the individual. And these last couple of months of 2022, it was just like I was kind of in this dormant place. And I don't know if you've ever been a place where you want to hear from God, but you don't think you're hearing from God. And you're like, am I in my purpose? Am I not in my purpose? I don't know if anybody's ever felt like that, but that's kind of how I was feeling, right? Business was flowing, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't confident that I was really operating in my purpose. So I had to slow down, right? I took the month of December and I was like, God, if this is what you intend for me to do, I need you to show me how. I need you to show me how to run this business the way that you see fit, right? I don't want to just run a business for money. I really want to live a purpose-driven and purpose-focused life, right? And
Love
so
that.
I stopped in December, no client, not taking clients or anything like that. I just focused on the ones I already had and was already working with. And I started to pray more. I started to pray more and I started to seek God more. And one of the things that he gave me, or one of the things that I promised during that time, because we're always making promises, right? One of the things I promised during that time, like as if he doesn't know who we are, what our hearts are like, right?
Right.
I promise. Oh my gosh, if you just help me through this, if you just show me, I'm desperate, I'm just like talking, I'm just desperate, to hear from you. I want to know it. I want you to reveal to me if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I promised if he revealed that to me and if he showed me the way and if he guided me through, I would never, ever, ever hesitate on his word again. I would never, ever, ever question his word or his instructions ever, ever again. Right. And so, probably a week after that interaction or that conversation, probably a week after, he spoke to me and he said, revive. And I was like, what? Revive? So I started Google searching. I'm like, what is revive? Let me get the Google definition of revive. Like, what does that mean? And so I looked up the word and it means, bring back to life. And he said to me, you need to bring back to life the purpose in my daughters. You need to bring back to life the things that they have allowed the pandemic, work, kids, family, whatever. You need to bring all of those things back to life that they've put aside because of what their responsibilities are, because of what their roles are, because of what their situation looks like. I called them to execute a specific purpose. I created and designed every hair on their head to execute a specific purpose, and they're not doing it. So I need you to create an environment. I need you to cultivate an experience that is going to help revive the women of God. So Revive Her
Ah, love
2023
it.
came to life.
That is fantastic. I love it. And that right there, you just described what you're doing in brand strategy and how everyone else is showing up. You just took your personal experience, the relationship with God, and turned it into something that is going to be so powerful for everybody that shows up and interacts.
Yes, 100%. So I'm excited. It's just like you were saying, it was easy. This was December. Okay. This was December, like week before Christmas, December, not even like December 1st. This is like week before Christmas.
We're wrapping presents and then making things. And hey, we're going to put on this conference in the spring.
It's like, in a matter of, honestly, I have to say 3 or 4 weeks, everything came together. We signed the contract, we got our speakers, the website was done, we got our graphics, like everything just really flowed. It was easy, just like you said.
I love that. I love that. So tell me more about the conference. What, if anyone that's wanting to join, what they could expect and dates and where it's at.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. So the dates are May 19th, 20th, and 21st, right? It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And you can expect to enter a space where you can be free, where you can come with ball and chain and you can leave broken free and ready to operate in your purpose. On Friday, we are going to have a networking mixer. So bring your business cards, come meet some new people, build some new solid connections with like-minded and like-hearted individuals. We are not hiding that this is a faith-based business conference. And so that you are going to be in the room with like-minded and like-hearted individuals. On Saturday, I'm so excited because we have 5 speakers who are going to be doing presentations. We've got a business coach. We've got a career and lifestyle management coach. She's going to talk with us about how to manage our life and our business and our career and really find harmony and peace and solace and all of the things that we have to do. We're going to talk about branding, of course. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. And then we also have a panel. So we got 5 presenters and a panel of 5 different speakers. So we got 10 speakers who are going to be presenting at this conference. On Sunday, we're going to have a brunch. And at the brunch, we're going to be talking about business funding with Brandy Fox. She's going to give us a full presentation about how to get funding for your business. And then we're going to have a Q&A session. We're going to eat some good food. We're going to have a good time. And you're going to go back home ready to operate in your purpose.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. And I think with all of that, I'm hearing all the business things and all that stuff, which is awesome. And the piece I'm like, oh man, I can just feel already everyone would walk back refreshed, excited, and just a place of community where it's like, okay, yes, this is how we can do business. This is how everyone else is running very successful businesses while still showing up, how it's authentic to them and in their faith. And so I just love everything about it. And the brunch, I'm like, ooh, that brunch, that sounds so fun. I'm in.
It's going to be a great time. We also have incorporated a time of corporate prayer. So on Saturday, we're going to be doing that. I want us to become very bold and very confident in expressing our faith, and so I wanted to make sure that we had that intentional moment. So we're going to be doing that as well. So I'm excited.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. What is the website that someone can go to get more information?
You guys can visit www.reviveher2023.com and you can find out everything you need to know about the conference there. You can see our speakers, you get to know our speakers, you can join our inner circle where you can get updates about the conference and all sorts of things. We're going to have vendors and everything.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else, Shaniqua, that you want to share, whether it's something that you have going on or quote, Bible verse? I mean, what would you like to, is there anything else that you want to add to wrap up?
To wrap up, one of the things that I really came into this wanting people to take away is wherever you've been in the past, it doesn't matter. You're qualified to go forward and execute and be the greatest version of yourself. And only you can decide that. It doesn't matter what society might think success looks like. You get to define success for yourself. Yeah. 6 figures, 8 figures, 7 figures, it doesn't matter. That doesn't have to be what success looks like for you. The house, the car, that doesn't have to be your version of success. So I wanted people to understand and take away from our conversation today that you get to really curate your life in a way that feels good to you and in a way that you get to define what success looks like for you in your business, in your personal life, in your relationships, and everything else.
I love it. I love it. And amen. We'll drop the mic on that one because that's it. That's a great way to end. Shanika, I'm really excited that we were able to connect. Love being able to learn a little bit more about you, your business, and this conference you've got coming up. It's so amazing. Love how you just lean into what the Lord has for you and just keep shining that bright, beautiful smile and sharing your gifts with the world.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It felt like we were just kind of just talking. I don't even know that we were actually recording a podcast today.
I know. This is how we roll. I love the conversations.
Thank you so much again for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome.